morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It is 9:31. My pleasure to be able to share this. We have special things happening this morning, so it'd be very nice to have folks with us as well. So at this time, if we could call the meeting in order, and if we all rise for a moment of silence before the pledge, and then I'll follow it with the pledge. There's lots to think about. Much respect that we all have our own special times of silence and those things we want to be done. And now our pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda is the corrections to the duplicate. We have Cindy Tribal with us today, our assessment director.
With additions of 25,450 and subtractions of 927,300 minus 901,930.
Any questions?
I move we accept the corrections to the duplicate.
I will second that. Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public comment, agenda items only at this time. Seeing none, we will move on then to the old business. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the 8/3/22 Commissioners meeting?
So moved.
And I was at that on via telephone, so I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Proclamations and certificates. We are very honored today. Several things that are, as you can see on the agenda. We have first, which is Sophie Thomas Best, and she has received her Eagle Scout on July 31st. That's when she was commissioned. I think I'm using the right terminology for this. She was commissioned by the local Boy Scouts of America group with her awarding of the Eagle Scout award at that particular time. Once in a while, when there's conflicts in our schedules and we're not able to be at that official meeting, we ask if our Eagle Scout can come here, and then we're able to give that their certificate of award right here. So today, Sophie's with us. I'm going to ask her to come up. I'm going to move over here. That's okay.
That's great.
Okay. So if you want to come on this side, thank you, and face the group. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your project and the process that it took for you to get to that Eagle Scout award?
Okay. My Eagle Scout project was a Wills for Heroes event. So I gathered lawyers, notaries, and then first responders, healthcare workers to come in and have the lawyers do free wills for them. It was a 2-day event. We did it with the Monroe County Bar Association, mainly for veterans. So I wanted to change it up because of COVID and give the healthcare workers and first responders the awards they needed and anything else that they needed. It was a journey. I learned how to make phone calls. I learned how to communicate. I learned how to control a group of people that were older than me. I had to boss adults around, and it was different for me. It was a very, I really liked the experience, and I would ask that every scout tries to make Eagle, because it really shapes who you are as a person and who you are to the community.
But along that journey, that was your final step. You want to just say a little bit about all this?
Well, I started Cub Scouts the first year I was allowed, so I started in 2019 as a Weeblo, and then crossed into my troop in December of 2019. And there were a bunch of older scouts in our troop. So I went along with them doing all of their advancements. So they were able to get Eagle by the time they turned 18. But I'm only 14. So I just went along. And in the process, I got all of these merit badges. And it was a really fun experience. I got to bond with all the people in my troop. I got to make awesome connections with people. And it was a wonderful experience.
Nice. Then the change came where young ladies are allowed to become Boy Scouts in what year?
2019.
2019.
18?
2018, okay. What interesting, and this is just from my experience as a high school kid, we were able to, and I did this, able to camp with, we had a friend who was in the Senior Scouts, and I was able to do that. So we probably, that was a long time ago, folks. We were, that was probably on edge, but we were able to do that. It was very nice because I think even we were starting to be open, even way back in the late 60s. Okay. So it's my honor. I'll read it to you. Monroe County Eagle Scout Certificate of Special Recognition presented to Sophie Thomas Best, and you received this officially on July 31st, 2022. We congratulate you for receiving Scouting's most distinguished honor and wish you well in all your future endeavors. Monroe County Board of Commissioners, Sharon S. Labrador, John R. Moyer, and John D. Christie. You. There are two other proclamations that I have the honor of reading today, and as we will officially move that these be accepted by the county. And Monroe County Commissioner's Office Proclamation International Overdose Awareness Day, August 31st, 2022. Whereas International Overdose Awareness Day is recognized globally to raise awareness about the risks of overdosing, honor the individuals whose lives have been lost from overdosing, and acknowledge the grief felt by families, friends, and communities. And whereas Overdose Awareness Day aims to publicly challenge the stigma associated with substance use disorders and overdosing, and whereas thus far we have had 39 deaths resulting from drug overdose in Monroe County this year, 36 of those resulting from fentanyl, and whereas every person deserves our best efforts to prevent injury and death from overdose, and it is imperative to support overdose prevention policies and projects and to help make sure everyone understands overdose is a social issue which impacts victims, families, friends, and communities. Now, therefore, the County Commissioners of Monroe County do hereby proclaim Wednesday, August 31st, 2022 as Overdose Awareness Day. Monroe County Board of Commissioners. Sharon S. Labrador, John R. Moyer, and John D. Christie. And then the next proclamation. It's National Recovery Month, and that is September 2022. Whereas mental and/or substance use disorders affect all communities nationwide, but with commitment and support, people with these disorders can achieve healthy lifestyles and lead rewarding lives in recovery. By seeking help, people who experience mental and/or substance use disorders can embark on a new path toward improved health and overall wellness. The focus of National Recovery Month this September is to celebrate their journey with the theme, recovery is for everyone, every person, every family, every community. Recovery Month spreads the message that behavioral health is essential to one's overall health and wellness, and that prevention works, treatment is effective, and people recover. And whereas the impact of mental and/or substance use disorders is apparent in our communities, through Recovery Month, people become more aware and able to recognize the signs of mental and/or substance use disorders, which can lead more people into needed treatment. Managing the effects of these conditions can help people achieve healthy lifestyles, both physically and emotionally. And whereas the Recovery Month Observance continues to work to improve the lives of those affected by mental and/or substance use disorders by raising awareness of these diseases and educating communities about the prevention, treatment, and recovery resources that are available. Now, therefore, we, the Commissioners of Monroe County, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2022 as National Recovery Month in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, and call upon our community to observe this month with compelling programs and events that support this year's observance. Monroe County Board of Commissioners, Sharon S. Lavador, John R. Moyer, and John D. Christian. Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the proclamations and
Recognitions, I so moved.
I second that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to new business.
7.
Under personnel, number 1, motion to approve the actions listed in number 1, items A and B.
So moved.
And I will second that. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 2, electronic financial transactions, ratified. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 2, items A, B, and C.
So moved.
First and a second, any discussion, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 3, travel authorizations, both approval and ratifying. Motion to approve the actions listed. Number 3, items A and B.
So moved.
First, and I have second that. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 4, Monroe County Children and Youth Services. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 4, A and B.
So moved.
And I'll second that. Any discussions or questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 5, Commissioner's Office. Motion to approve the actions listed in number 5, items A through J.
Before you make that motion, in B, 5B, the date is, today's date, it says August 17th, 2022, advertised notice of public hearing. That public hearing was going to be on the agenda, but it's not. It's open record to place the advertisement.
Oh, that's correct. We did not do that.
So that was in September. So you do need that motion, it's just the date would be September 7th, 2022.
So officially then we are changing that date to 9. Did you say 7?
7.
Okay, 2022. Okay,
I'll make that motion with that amendment.
and I'll second that. Any further discussion or questions?
Just, I think it bears comment on 5D. We were given the opportunity to apply for and did apply for a what's called an election integrity grant program in the amount of slightly more than $580,000. And this grant came out of the, let me say, chaotic election that was held in 2020, where questions were raised about the integrity of voting, not necessarily in Monroe County, but throughout the Commonwealth. And the state finally saw fit to provide a little bit of funding for some of the things that they wanted to see changed in the election process. We've applied for that grant. We're not entirely sure how the money can be used. There's still some remaining questions, but there are a number of things that can be done with that money that will be quite helpful. One of them is for printing of ballots. One of them is for the purchase of equipment that would allow us to process the vote more quickly. One of them relates to efficiencies in getting people's applications and getting them processed on a timely basis. So we have one of them would allow for payment of people who work at the polls more than they are paid now. So those are all good things. One of the not sticking points, but one of the points that is inherent in this legislation is that if you accept this money, excuse me, once you begin canvassing, that is, once you begin counting the votes, you don't stop until you're finished. And that's not a problem generally for Monroe County when it comes to elections that are not presidential elections, but there are certain times during presidential elections where the turnout is such that in all probability, people will be working through the night to get this work done. And what it's attempting to do is to get a more efficient and rapid response to who is the winner of whatever election is being contested. And heretofore, since mail-in ballots, there are really two elections, or it seems like there are two elections. One of them is those of us that go out and vote at the polls, our votes are tallied generally by 11 o'clock that night, and the results are posted. So Smith has X number of votes, Jones has X number of votes, Jenkins has Y number of votes, and that's posted. However, the next day, we begin tallying the mail-in ballots, and the mail-in ballots are typically in excess of the number of ballots that were cast at the polls. So in many times, people go to bed at 11 o'clock thinking they're the winner of the election, and in fact, they were as it relates to those that voted in person. But when the mail-in ballots are counted, the results can flip-flop, and that's been the case in a couple of elections since mail-in ballots have occurred. So what it has to happen is we can begin canvassing the votes earlier than we have chosen to do so in the past. That means we can begin counting during the day of the election those mail-in ballots. Heretofore, we waited until the next day and began counting those. However, we are not permitted, nor are we allowed to post the results of those mail-in ballots prior to the time that the polls close at 8 o'clock that night. And that's, again, to make sure that people don't look at the results and say, well, there's no sense in me voting for Smith. He's already won, or he's already lost, or she's already won, or she's already lost. So a whole bunch of changes that are coming down the pike. We believe that just some of the equipment that we think can be purchased with this will be very helpful. One of them is in opening the envelopes. Just something as simple as that. It's a very time-consuming task. We believe that there are machines that will more quickly do that and allow us to tabulate the votes more quickly. So like anything that comes from Harrisburg, there are some positives, but there could conceivably be some negatives as well. Suffice it to say, we've applied for the grant. If it turns out that there are more negatives than positives, we don't have to take it. But I suspect that we will, and this is $584,000 a year, plus or minus a few dollars. It depends on how many voters are registered in every county in the state. So they take the pot of money, divide it by the number of voters. So we're getting the same amount per voter that Philadelphia, Allegheny County, Montour County, or any other county gets. Our amount simply happens to be in the $580,000 range.
Thank you. And probably the most important piece that John just, it's all very important. But the most important is we cannot post those election votes until after the polls have closed. And that's very, very important also. Okay, anything else there that you see you'd like to talk about or questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And number 6, capital outlay purchases. I hear a motion listed in number 6, item A,
So moved.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, any miscellaneous?
Just a comment that Commissioner Christie isn't with us today because he's dropping his daughter off at Penn State for her first day of fun and frivolity. Hopefully studies and academia.
And public comment?
No, I got some. I wanted to,
Do me a favor, just say who you are.
Donald Kubik,
Thank you, Don.
just wanted to open with a follow-up for that request that it was the Archer Company, and if I'm wrong, I believe it's called the Archer Equivocal Compensation Classification Study. Just curious if I'm correct on that, is that what the study that was done by the Archer Group actually is?
I've never heard it called that
You
either.
could very well be correct.
Yeah, because we've always heard of Archer study, just like you said, but very much so, it could be possible.
2 weeks ago, when we were here, we had asked about it. We were informed that we can get it by asking Bonnie. We were kind of hopeful that was going to happen. We asked Bonnie, we were told no immediately. Bonnie told us we have to see Greg Christine, then Greg told us we have to file right to know requests, and we've subsequently received documents that is suspended for 30 days pending review. Kind of curious if we can understand. Can we get it today? Because we were told we can have it, and then why would it be suspended if it was a document that was paid for by taxpayer funds and directly related to the taxpayer funds? And as was quoted 2 weeks ago, it's simply a study that's done that translates to the hourly amount that's paid to employees. I can't comprehend why we couldn't have that, why it went the route of, yes, you can have it, no, you can't have it, suspended for 30 days.
I can speak to it a little bit. I don't have firsthand knowledge of what you were told by Bonnie or what you were told by Greg. But as the county attorney, I often deal with right to know requests if Greg has legal issues with it. When the reason to submit a right to know request is that I don't know that this report has ever been made public because I don't know that it was final. So there may have been, I may be wrong, there may have been other requests that have been denied for that. I'm not sure of that. Based upon reading of the right to know law, that it's not a public document as a consequence. But so that is probably why Greg informed, if it was Greg, that you had to file a right to know request. Under the right to know law, the county has, or the municipal entity, in this case the county, they're supposed to respond yes or no within, I think, 5 days. But then there's a provision in the right to know law that says you can have that time extended in order to review or whatever. And so perhaps that's what he did. I don't know. He's not here. He's on vacation.
I'm curious as to why the document would be considered. Number one, I have the right to know law, I studied it very well.
Well, it'll be when the response comes to you, whatever it is, within that 30-day period, it'll state the reason.
I'm just curious.
And he hasn't consulted with me yet on this. So if he
Does the right to know law allow county entities being commissioners the decision to, if the right to know request officer, who's Greg Christine, deems a document not a public document? That's what you can do.
No, he doesn't. Well, he has to come to a conclusion.
Yes.
If he doesn't provide it, there has to be a reason why it's not provided, and that has to be
Deeming it's not a
that has to be
public document, it's
stated.
not provided, whatever it
And
is.
that may be a forthcoming reason. I don't know. Haven't
The
consulted
county
with him.
commissioners have the right to overrule that and release the document. I already know the answer. I know it's a yes. I have it. I consulted with my attorney. So my question is, if the county commissioner already said, yes, I can have that document is paid for with taxpayer dollars.
If the county commissioner said that, but if Greg consults with me and the conclusion is it's not a public document, then that will be the conclusion.
But my question is, under the right to know law, you and Greg deem it not to be released for whatever the reason is.
No, I will
Can
advise.
they say yes?
I will advise the commissioners.
I know you're going to advise them. You're not hearing the question. The question is,
No, I am hearing
can
the
they
question.
say yes? That's all
Hold on
I'm
a
asking.
second. then they say yes, they can say yes at legal peril if the answer is no, because if they release a document.
Yes. Now, what would the legal peril be? What is the hurt in legal peril? In a study that was done
It's
just.
too speculative at this point because we don't know what the answer is going to be. So you're asking speculative questions.
Yes. I would
And
understand.
if and
I'm trying to
when- if and
understand
when
what
the answer-
hardship is.
if and
Just
when-
Tell us what we're
No,
supposed
no,
to be
if and
paying
when
for
the-
that study.
If and when the answer comes that it's no, and the reason stated, then you have the right to appeal that. Anybody does. I'm not saying that's going to be the answer.
I was not asking if that's the answer.
I don't know.
If that happens.
And I'm not going to answer the speculative question. So,
My question
We'll
was
see what
to
happens.
Mr. Moore was, you told me last week I can have that document. My question today is, can I have it?
I told you you can, in my opinion, you can have the results of that.
Would you like me to pull up the recorded YouTube video of the
I
actual
said you can
debate?
have the results of that study.
I asked,
No.
can I have the Archer study, the document?
And what the,
And we went back and forth.
my
And
answer
you
was
said
you can
yes.
have the results of the
You
study.
said, yes, you can
well,
get it.
wait a minute, he can be wrong, you know, he can be wrong. And if I believe he's wrong, I'll tell him he's
You
wrong.
can advise
And
him as
then,
the attorney.
and then he can
Does the law-
choose what
does
he
the law
wants to
allow
do.
him to choose?
Pardon?
You just stated, he can choose to do what he so chooses.
Well, they
Even if he
can
decides
choose to
not
do something that's wrong. They don't care. They can all choose to do something that's wrong. My job is to tell them what I believe under the law is correct.
Correct.
And I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet because this is the first I heard that the right to know request was filed. Greg Christine isn't here, so he can't answer. Pardon? Yeah, I was here 2 weeks ago.
You heard me asking for this Archer study. I asked him if I can have it. His answer was yes. And I said, how do I do it? And he said, by going to Bonnie and HR.
And what I'm telling you, if in fact he said that, I don't
I hear
remember.
everything you're saying. I'm asking him. And I have that document today. Simple yes or no.
Oh, I hope it would be no,
Okay? So,
because there's a process that's involved.
it's not though. He can address verbal.
Okay, that's your opinion.
requests.
That's
It's in
your
the law.
opinion. No, that's your opinion. And
Would we like to see it? Because
no, I don't want to
it's in
see
the law.
anything from you. I'm the lawyer for the county.
I'm
You're not.
the law.
You're
make
not.
Bad decisions too that are wrong.
That's right. I have made wrong decisions in my life. You've made wrong decisions in your life.
This
But
is
we
like-
all try to make the right decision. And that's what we'll try to do here.
Well,
And when
publicly,
the-
the right decision, the ethical decision, the moral decision is to release documents that are paid for by taxpayer money that directly relate to the employees.
If it's a
of the county.
public document,
Well, if it's paid for by taxpayer dollars, would it not be a public document?
no, not necessarily.
Was the study paid for with
Not
taxpayer
necessarily.
dollars?
I'm not going to answer your question.
I'll submit a right to know how the study was paid for.
Go right ahead. You can submit whatever right to know request you want, and you will get what the county believes to be an appropriate response. They'll seek my legal counsel.
My question.
And I have no problem with you having it if the law says that you should have it. That determination hasn't been made. What you're doing is you're saying that the answer is going to be no. It may be, it may not. That answer hasn't been
I'm
given
saying
yet.
that. I'm just asking if I can have it today.
No.
Why there's such
Well-
hesitation to release something that's simply transmit the hourly wage that county employees.
Because if it's not a public document, it's not required to be disclosed. If you get a public document, it's not, just listen to me. If you get a public document that's not required to be disclosed, every Tom, Dick, and Harry come in here and ask the same thing. Well, you disclosed to him a document that wasn't public. This document isn't public, but we want it. You gave it to them. Now we want a document that's not public. We try to be consistent, okay? And it hasn't happened yet.
Mr. Kubik, to some extent, this is a tempest in a teapot because I'm not sure that I've ever seen a technical Archer study that was produced.
They give you, I already talked to the Archer group. I know what they transmit to you. I've already spoke to somebody out there about what they actually transmit to you. I know what you get. I know what it is.
You know more than I know.
So this group does this study that you pay for, and you
Will
get
you let me finish?
hard that you can actually see. You just said you've never seen an Archer study. You've never actually seen, they give you a study. I know what they give you, so you've seen it. We're just simply asking to see it. That's a whole nother issue. We already got the no, so I'll leave that subject alone because it's not going on. We already know it's a no. It may be decided later, but my question today was, can I have it today? And that was a no. So we can just get off that. We'll keep going in circles for 20 minutes. Right? My
Unless
next
you let me finish my comment.
Feel free.
Archer, or the representative of Archer comes in and gives us recommendations.
They do studies in surrounding counties, the pay scale, they do all kinds of stuff.
Obviously, I can't finish my comments, so let's move on to the next topic.
My next topic was 2 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago. We spoke about staffing issues at the jail, safety issues that keep reoccurring. 2 weeks ago, your personal comment was it is a difference of opinion between me and the warden, whether the conditions are safe or not. I'm going to provide you today the results of the study that I will gladly give out. I don't try to hide results of studies, of polling all the officers at the jail, whether the conditions are safe or not. So you guys can physically see there's not a difference of opinion between me and the warden. I would like to discuss what happened at the prison board meeting that you attended, because we attempted to attend that meeting again to have these discussions with the administrators there and were denied again. Just yesterday, we had more staffing issues again, where the minimum number on day shift is supposed to be 28. We had 3 transports out of the building. That's 6 officers out of the building. We had 3 people leave the building on half shifts, and they signed up for the half shifts. We had more than on the first half than signed up for the second half. So that was another 3 people we were down. We are down 9 people below our number. That is the minimum number as per Title 37. And there is no modifications made to facility operations. I will also provide you with a line-for-line copy of the Times News report where Warden Heidel states, modifications are made to facility operations when staffing issues develop to maintain the safety and security of the facility. That is a 100% false statement by the warden. We just saw it again yesterday. These things keep occurring where our safety is put at risk almost on a daily basis. This is not just a difference of opinion. I don't know what you're being told at these meetings. I've already addressed that with you guys. That is him giving you, I called him a liar before. I said I was told I can't use that language. That is a false statement to a T. And there is more people here if you would like to speak to them personally to see that it's not a difference of opinion. These things are occurring on a continual basis. There's no attempt to minimize how much these midnight guys are being mandated 3 days in a row, 7, 8 times in pay period for their safety and health. There's nothing being done. So I'd like to know what came out of that prison board with these issues.
The bottom line was we told the warden that at any point that he or the deputy wardens were concerned with the safety of the officers, that it was his responsibility and duty and with our blessing to modify operations.
So what I'm telling you here today, again, for the 6th week in a row, 3 meetings in a row, is he is not doing that, right? So you guys are also members of this prison board meeting. You guys are also part of the prison board. You guys are the commissioners of the county. You are his boss in that aspect. If we are coming to you telling you that he is not doing these things, we're going to you telling you that he should be doing these things, and to him telling you he should be doing these things, and they are not occurring. I've asked you guys 2 weeks in a row to please make him do these things. Not just tell him, do it if you feel like you need to do it, because he's not doing it, and is going to take one of us being killed or severely injured for the taxpayers of this county to lose money through lawsuits because no steps are being taken to protect us. It's not occurring. So I'm asking for more. You can't just tell the warden, do it if you feel like you need to do it, because he's not doing it. That's what we're telling you. It just happened yesterday. We're 9 people short in the building. We had 0 rovers in the hallway. There was 0 people to respond. I was working intake area and had 2 attempted murder suspects physically getting ready to fight each other. And I had 0 people to come assist me. 0. But the inmates are still getting outdoor recreation, which takes up 2 officers and a perimeter officer. That's 3 people that could be in the building to help save somebody's life. That's a privilege for an inmate. That can be canceled at any time. Why are these things not occurring? Why are their privileges taking precedence over our health and safety? I'm asking for you guys to do something about it. So I keep asking, and we keep getting told these discussions will continue. But the end result of that discussion is the guy's not doing his job. He's willfully risking our lives, and we're going to allow him to keep doing it. He gets to make that decision. So until something happens to one of us where we die, the end result of that is our family members lose a loved one and he loses his job for making bad decisions. That's not acceptable. There needs to be more done. There has to be. And there had to be more in that prison board meeting than just, if you feel you need to make modifications, please do so. because I tried to come. I want to know what happens in these meetings. I want to give my opinion to these people, aside from just you guys. I don't want to bombard you with 6 of us, because as I keep telling you, the first meeting I came with 1 officer. Second meeting I came with 2. Now there's 5. At some point, there will be 40, 50, 60 people coming to present these concerns because they are that grave and they're just being ignored. There has to be more.
Can I say something? Sure. My name is Officer Johnson. I also work at the jail. Everything that he says is true and correct as far as what I can see and what I go through. But not only is it a liability for us, it's a liability for the inmates. If 2 inmates starts fighting and there's no rovers to come assist me to break this up, inmates themselves can get hurt severely. Because of our policy, if something is going on a unit, 2 inmates start fighting. Our policy, I'm not supposed to go break that up. I'm supposed to call for rovers. If rovers don't respond, technically, I should just stay there and watch the guys go at it. Now, most of the time, we have good officers here throughout the building. Most of the times, an officer will go beyond the policy and try to do the right thing and break that up. But technically, there should be rovers to respond to any issue going on in the jail. And what he just said is true. Because many of the times, there's no rovers in the hallway. With that being said, the recreation, you have 2 officers out there for recreation. Sometimes we shouldn't be doing this, but sometimes an officer might leave rec to go assist somebody else to come back. That's also placing us in danger. And then if something goes wrong, what they're going to say is, well, who told you to leave the rec area? So we're kind of caught up in the bind because most of the officers here do try to do the right thing. And it's a consistency of the same officers. It's the same officers that's doing overtime. You got the midnight shift here, you got second shift officers here, you got first shift officers here. Midnight officers are getting what I call smoked. They're doing 3 overtimes in a row. They're doing 7 overtimes in a pay period. Now, some people like money, some people don't like money, regardless of the fact, but our basic contract, the basic contract is supposed to do no more than $2 or $3 in a pay period. A couple of weeks ago, I came on midnight shift to do overtime. A volunteer, come on midnight shift. When I came in the midnight shift in their briefing, there was 4 officers. Plus me, that's 5. I'm looking around. I said, this is crazy. Now you got some officers that work midnights that's doing 4 hours before that shift. Okay, so there's officers in the building. But what was said was the UC, the unit commander, came on and said, anybody wants overtime. I'm sitting back, look at this. This don't even make no sense to even ask that question. Somebody says, how many spots? The guy says 6 spots. You're already short one, and some of these guys can't even work. But what's crazy, he asked the officer, hey, how many you're up first? The guy says, well, I did 3 in a row. This is my 7th in the pay period, and it's my Friday. He says, did that make a difference? I'm going to say, what UC was? The UC says, nope, where you want to work. After a while, I would just think and say that this is unsustainable because it's the same amount of group of officers that's continuing doing the overtime. You have the same amount of officers that got FMLA and whatever the case may be, but this is, man, I go to work every day. I look at officers' faces. I see they're dragging around. They're tired. This is really, and now I also know that they're trying a 2-week thing where they're trying to get officers in the building to hire them and stuff. But you start out with a class of 8 and you wind up starting out with 3, and then 1 leaves, and you got 2 left, and then you got officers leaving because they're leaving, they got another job, they got a promotion, they doing this, so the numbers are basically kind of like staying the same. This is like unsustainable. Like, this is a problem. This is not only a problem for us, but it's also a problem for the inmates that's in the jail. This could be serious. This could get really bad. We're asking for help.
And if I could add to the discussion, my name is Officer Best. I'm a 3rd shift officer. This is the first time I've been able to be here because every time there's a commissioners meeting, I'm mandated. I'm getting mandated just like the rest of my shift. I'm one of the shop stewards for 3rd shift, and we're getting mandated 3 17-hour shifts in a row. We get 1 day where we work our regular 8-hour shift, return to work, and we're working another 17-hour shift. Not only are we running the building short, but now when you just think about that amount of hours that these people are working, these are good people. These are mothers, fathers that have children at home. Personally, my 14-year-old is at home saying, I'm used to you not being home. This is not right. And these people are under these kinds of stresses at home. They go to work, they're under the stress of being short-staffed. And now you don't know that somebody's coming into that room to protect you because you don't have officers in the building. This is a liability for you guys, for all of us, for the inmates and for the taxpayers. Because when somebody gets really hurt, what's going to happen? We've already had officers that have left work after working 3 17-hour days in a row. You get done at 5 o'clock, you're back in for the midnight shift, 3 days in a row. The poor officer wrecked his car. Thank God he wasn't killed on his way home. I don't know. I completely agree with what Officer Johnson just said. It's not sustainable. And this isn't a disagreement between Officer Kubik and the warden. This is all of us. And right now you have over 50 years of experience sitting here telling you that this is a problem. This has to stop. Something has to be done. And it takes modifying operations. Something as simple as saying, we've got 5 people in briefing, 5 people in a 3rd shift briefing that can work the next day. We already need 8 officers to work that overtime. The obvious answer is bring these guys in from rec. It's not a hard, that alone would alleviate 3 officers a lot of days from getting mandated and working the 3rd 17 and the building running short on top of all the stresses that these officers
May I speak? My name is Tyrone Wright. I've been there for 18 years. We have other facilities when this type of stuff happened. They only allowed out 2 hours. If it's a staff shortage, the inmates have to stay locked down. You guys, y'all come around and do inspections and you see we got like 72 inmates. I'm going to use Charlie. That's considered like one of the bad units, problem inmates. We got 72 inmates on there. 4 cells got to be locked down because it's over 64. But even 64 inmates to 1 officer is impossible to control if a fight breaks out. We had 2 riots there since I've been there. Thank God nobody got seriously hurt. But these inmates are getting smart. A couple months ago, maybe it was 2 months ago, 1 inmate refused to lock down. And the reason he refused to lock down is because he wanted to see the response of the officers. He wanted to see how many officers come to that unit. And then as officers finally came, he went in lockdown and he said a phrase or something like, see, I told you they were short. If that was me, that inmate would have been immediately removed and put on video. Because he's showing the other inmates that we have a staff shortage there. It's getting around to them and they realize it. And these are the guys that at any time they refuse to lock down, we can't physically put them away. So when, like yesterday, Mr. Kubik said, we had 3 transports. So we had officers that was out of the building and we didn't have enough officers. If a fight started, we have to make that decision. All we asking is maybe you guys can correspond with other counties and see what do they do in those situations. I know Northampton, they 22-2. If it come down to that, and that's for the safety of the inmates as well. They may not like it, but if we don't have a response team to come to inmates' assistance that may be getting assaulted or officer assistance, then it's gonna be very bad for everybody. And the taxpayer is gonna be paying more money as well.
I would like to say one more thing. You guys come around every Friday, right? To do the inspections. Here and there. You know what would be a thought that when you come on the unit, and you guys, when you come on unit, you wait till the office and then you go through your thing, look at the cells. Y'all should come on the unit, do your thing. Let the rest of the team leave, and then grab the officer and say, hey, how things are going? Anything's going on? I'm not saying with the whole team. I'm saying personally, what's going on around here? Anything? You may have some officers ain't gonna say nothing, everything's fine. You may have some officers that might tell you, hey, what's going on? It's easy if I know you coming. It's easy if I want to sell my house to you. I got 2 weeks to prepare for you to come in. I can fix the tracks. I can hide this and I can hide that. Very easy. I know you coming down. This and that. You stop and you come to me and you say, hey, CJ, anything's going on? Say, listen, da. Take it for what it is. I've really never seen you go into our staff dining, where we have the board that's up, that has overtime sheets. Never seen you look at that. Where you go, hey, what's this? You look at that, you're gonna see all these names signed up for overtime on some days. Some days you're not gonna see nobody signed up, and it's already the next day. You come in today for the next day, you can already see it's 9 holes. It's 9 spots of overtime for the next day. You can see that today, tomorrow, or it's 4 spots, or it's 8 spots. So now that's 8, that's 6 spots that's already open. That's not accounting for actually that following day with 2 more officers call out. So that's 6 to turn to 8 or 9.
And we get told a lot that the reason for all of this is officers calling in. I'm on 3rd shift. We have 18 officers. If you count the amount of spots in the building and then you take the weekends away, we're walking into briefing. 2nd shift is automatically walking into briefing and has to cover 6 spots before they even get out of briefing, 8 hours prior. That's how short we are. That's completely ridiculous. I mean, there's no way to staff the building. And then there's nights where we're coming in, and like Officer Johnson said, we've got 5 people in briefing on 3rd shift. They need 8, 9 spots. How do you can't cover it? There's physically not enough people in the building. And then to not modify the operations is inconceivable. It's just not, it's horrible practice.
So you've heard from a bunch of people, safety issues, right? Not just a disagreement between me and the ward. We heard here today, the answer at the commissioner meeting, or the prison board meeting was, you guys advised Gary Heidel that when he feels he needs to make changes, he can do whatever he needs to do with your blessing. I would implore you to revert back to the Monroe County Employee Manual on page 41. Page 41 on the Monroe Employee Manual is the safety policy. I'd like to read a couple lines from the safety policy. It says Monroe County is dedicated to providing a safe and healthy work environment for all of its employees. All of its employees. We work at the correctional facility, we get treated like we're on our own island, like we're not county employees out there. That's fact, that's how it is. We get forgotten. Monroe County shall follow safe work practices that not only safeguard the employee, but ensure the safety of the public we serve. We're not doing that. It's not happening. We're hearing that. The inmates are also part of the public. They're not just convicted felons or allegedly charged with crimes. They're members of the community. We serve them. We're not providing safety. Lines 8, 9, and 10 in the county safety policy say the Monroe County Commissioners' commitment to safety is of the utmost importance and will not be jeopardized when it comes to the safety of their employees. I would ask today, am I one of your employees or am I Gary Heidel's employee? Yours, Monroe County's employee, not just Gary Heidel. You guys have a commitment to the safety as well, not just Gary Heidel. That does not fall back to just Gary Heidel for you to say, you let Gary Heidel do whatever he wants out there with our blessing. This is on you. This is the point. We're telling you what he's not doing. You guys have to make him do it. If you don't understand how prison operations work and all you're getting is from Gary and McCoy, speak to us like Officer CJ said. I will tell you 80% of our building will be afraid to speak to you because we get retaliated against. We get disciplined for the most ludicrous things if we speak up to any issue that we have. So a majority of our staff is scared to speak up. But if you pull us aside one-on-one like he's suggesting, that number might come down to 50%. You might get some people that speak to you in confidence. You'll understand the operations better. You'll understand how this prison should actually run. And not just our prison, the other county prisons. I'm not even asking, like he mentioned, Northampton County is straight 22 and 2 every day. They're only out of their cells 2 hours at a time. I would love if our jail did that. For the safety forever, I'm not even talking statute of limitations. I would love if that was a normal practice. But it won't happen. But when we're running short, by all means that should happen instantaneously. You guys can make that happen. You guys are not adhering to your own policies here, your own commitments. I would implore you to go to page 21 of the Monroe County Employee Manual, which is the problem-solving policy, which has steps 1 through 4. We have followed every one of these steps with our problems, and we're getting nothing. The last step of this is it goes through, if the issue is still not resolved at your administrator's level, which is Gary Heidel, at the HR level, which is Bonnie, which we've addressed all these concerns with Bonnie. The final step of this problem-solving policy is solely you three right there. Specifically says if the issue is still not resolved, it will be presented to the Monroe County Commissioners or the Human Resources Director acting on their behalf for final resolution. When arriving at a decision, it will be in fairness, impartiality, good judgment, and common sense. I asked today, you guys are not making any decision. You're kicking the ball right back down to Gary Heidel. So if something goes wrong, he gets blamed. Where is the good judgment and common sense in that? We're telling you these things are going to happen to us. Something bad is going to happen in that prison. When I say us, I don't mean just the officers. Everybody behind those walls. It could be a counselor, it could be a nurse, it could be an inmate. It could be the warden himself when he's walking down the hallway and get assaulted. Something bad is going to happen. Where is the good judgment and common sense if 6 weeks ago, 2 of us came here. 4 weeks ago, 3 of us came here. Now, there's 6 of us sitting here. You've got numerous letters that I gave you last week. No response 2 weeks ago, no responses still, no acknowledgement. If all of us are telling you these things are happening, how is that good judgment and common sense to kick that right back down to Gary Heidel to let this circle continue until something bad happens, and then your county lawyers are getting involved trying to negotiate a settlement or a lawsuit.
During the COVID, we did a excellent job, in my opinion. This is what people getting sick. Whether Gary had to want to admit it, it was us that helped avoid that. It wasn't him. We didn't even get, if you're a boss, you're a leader, you come and you thank your troops. We didn't get that. The leader comes to the staff, to our briefing, and commend us for what we did, because we did an extraordinary job understaffed. We did that. And y'all know we did that because Northampton, a lot of these other places, they had to shut down extremely. We did the job. We made it happen. And I, for one, know, and I made over 6 figures last year because of coming in numerous times. You guys know me. It's not just me. All these guys here, we do the overtime. And then when you get a leader that said, well, I'm not coming to your staff briefing because I don't want to get like guys to talk to me and complain or whatever. That's not what a leader do. You go, you hear the problems, and then you try to resolve them. You take 2, 3 individuals, let's go up front, let's talk about it to get it done. We're not seeing it.
Okay, thank you. At this point, though, we have to be very cautious with regards to management.
Okay, we just want help.
I know, I understand, and I've heard that.
I'm going to hand you guys a document. I'd like you guys to review it. And again, some type of response. I know we're getting close to the conclusion of this meeting time-wise. You guys have other pertinent things to take care of. I totally understand. I'd like to read through this, and I'll read fast, because I can read it fast. So I know you guys hear it. I know it doesn't just get dumped into a garbage can, because that's what it feels like all of our concerns happen. All of our letters happen. Feel like they're getting dumped away. And it's seeming evident because we're getting no responses. August 15, 2022. Dear Monroe County Commissioner Sharon Labrador, John Christie, John Moore, we, the Monroe County Correctional Officers who have tirelessly served the community day in and day out during the last 2 years, do hereby submit this letter of no confidence in the warden, the prison board, and the county commissioners. During the recent weeks, we took a vote of no confidence that passed by 100% due to your negligent response to the ongoing staff shortage, your negligent response and refusal to even acknowledge our numerous safety issues at the facility, your unwillingness to have open and honest discussions with the officers about their concerns, as directly shown through the 0 responses received to the numerous emails and letters submitted to you. Number 4, your refusal to take appropriate proactive steps to ensure the officer's safety. The current level of staff morale is almost non-existent. We've suffered greatly during the last 2 years, and yet we continue to report to duty to serve the community each and every day. We have suffered through extremely high contact with COVID while receiving 0 COVID sick time. We have suffered an enormously increased workload from taking on the duties of numerous other county agencies due to them limiting their exposure to COVID, while simultaneously we are facing unprecedented staffing shortage. We've suffered unimaginable hours of overtime and consequently unimaginable time away from our loved ones, only to be shown 0 appreciation and receive 0 acknowledgement. The long-standing staff shortage is taking its toll on us, the frontline officers. We're stressed, we're tired, we're overworked, underappreciated, and burnt out after 2 years of continuously shouldering the burden of the issues at the facility. We're being stretched too thin, and this is a recipe for disaster in a correctional facility. The Monroe County Safety Policy on page 41 of the Monroe County Employee Manual declares Monroe County is dedicated to providing a safe and healthy work environment for all employees. It also goes on to declare the Monroe County Commissioner's commitment to safety is of the utmost importance and will not be jeopardized when it comes to safety of employees. Yet contrary to this, our safety is being willingly jeopardized on a regular basis over the last 2 years. Monroe County Problem Solving on page 21 of the Monroe County Employee Manual lays out a guideline for problem solving. However, each and every time we've attempted to address our concerns with the wardens, prison board, and the county commissioners, we received 0 response to get these concerns acknowledged. We've stood by for 2 years waiting and hoping for some answers, some assistance, some form of relief. Your refusal to acknowledge and address the ongoing issues of the facility with the officers is a direct contradiction of these policies and commitments. So while you continue to discuss the issues from behind your desks in your offices, the lives of all the officers and the people inside that facility are being put at risk every day due to the reckless disregard from each and every one of them. Warden Gary Heilo is quoted in a recent Times News article dated August 6, 2022, stating the following. My priority has always been the safety and security of staff, inmates, and the facility as a whole. His actions do not reflect his words. During the August 8, 2022 Commissioners meeting, Commissioner John Moyle stated as follows. We have the utmost confidence in the warden and deputy wardens out there. Furthermore, Commissioner Moore stated that the warden and a union steward have a difference of opinion on whether the conditions of the facility are safe or not. While we, the officers working the front lines of the prison, stand united, do not have the same confidence as Commissioner Moore, and therefore submit the results of our survey below. Our vote of no confidence reads as follows. 100% of respondents have no confidence in the warden, prison board of commissioners, management of the ongoing staffing at the facility. 100% of respondents have no confidence in the prison procedures implemented by the warden, prison board of commissioners during times of staff shortage to ensure officer safety. 100% of respondents have no confidence in the warden, prison board of commissioners management of the officers' concerns over the staffing and safety issues. 100% of respondents have no confidence in the steps taken by the warden, the prison board of commissioners to manage the mandated overtime outside the guidelines of the contract, back-to-back mandates Fridays, 6 or more in a pay period of third double in a row. This last response should be of the most concern to each and every one of you. It's shameful and disheartening that the entire body of officers believes this wholeheartedly. 100% of respondents have no confidence that the warden, prison board of commissioners have officer safety as a priority. I'll repeat that. There's 88 working officers in that facility. 100% of them have zero confidence that you guys have our safety as a priority. That's an issue. To sum up the results of this vote, 100% of the respondents have no confidence in the warden, prison board of commissioners due to the failure to fulfill your due diligence regarding the staffing and safety issues at the Monroe County Correctional Facility. We ask that the wardens, prison board of commissioners do the following without hesitation. Respond forthwith to the emails, letters that were submitted by the officers. Meet with the officers and the union forthwith to discuss these issues so we can work together on real-world practical solutions that can be implemented properly. To expeditiously assess and respond to the reasons why the facility is having such difficulty recruiting and retaining quality employees. Fair compensation is one of these key issues, as quoted by Warden Heidel in the recent Times News article. Candidates are being hired by neighboring counties that pay more than Monroe. Number 4, develop and implement forthwith a policy for staff shortages. We have no policy on our staffing numbers out there. This policy should address the proper staffing numbers and what modifications to facility operations should be made when staffing numbers drop below the minimum numbers required for the officer's good health and safe operation of the facility. Furthermore, the policy should address steps that should be taken to avoid the unjust mandation of officers outside the contract. 5, immediately cease violating our union contract by mandating any employees as a quote-unquote emergency and outside the contractual guidelines, especially prior to making modifications to the facility operations that would limit the negative impact. Furthermore, allow all officers to volunteer for overtime prior to mandating anybody as an emergency. Each and every one of these outlined steps are for the good health and safety of every individual inside that facility. This is being handed to you today. This was forwarded last night to Dennis Howard, the Teamster president, Matt Wyman, the business agent. It's getting forwarded as we speak when I leave this room. Gary Heidel, Ken Morris, the sheriff, Judge Worthington, Josh Shapiro, the Pennsylvania District Attorney, Mario Scavello, the senator, Marty Flynn, the senator, Rosemary Brown, the representative, and Jack Rader, the representative. We need something to be done. Sitting back behind that big desk in your chairs every 2 weeks, looking at us in our faces and telling us we're trying to hire people, we're having difficulties, we're working on it, we'll continue these discussions, and us getting nothing 2 weeks later, and then nothing 2 weeks later, and nothing 2 weeks later. But what we're getting is tired and burnt out and stressed, and our health is declining, our families, our connections to our little children are falling apart. The safety of us is being put at risk. That is not enough for us to get. There has to be more. There has to be. That's all I have.
No comment. Okay,
One for Commissioner Christie.
We'll get it.
Absence.
yes, we'll get it. Okay, believe that brings us to a conclusion this time. And so, do I hear a motion?
To adjourn at 10:36.
We have a salary board meeting at 11 a.m., followed by retirement board meeting at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you guys for the time.